I was standing in our bedroom doorway, holding her second phone in my hand, the one she thought I'd never find. Madison sat on the edge of the bed, still wearing the red dress she just returned home in, makeup smudged, heels dangling off her feet like she was some teenage girl sneaking in past curfew. "Brent, huh?" I said, voice low, calm, too calm. I flipped the phone screen toward her. The blood drained from her face. "Last night was insane. Your body is unbelievable. Can't stop thinking about your mouth." Her messages back. "I feel alive with you. Chris doesn't even touch me anymore." She blinked. Swallowed. Then gave me the fakest little smile I've ever seen. "Oh come on, Chris. Don't act so surprised. I told you I wanted to open the marriage." She crossed her legs like she was proud of herself. Like this was a TED Talk on modern relationships and not a full-blown betrayal. "I was faithful for too long," she said, adjusting her dress like she was the victim. "I just want to feel desired again. This is my truth. You can either accept it, or don't. But I'm not stopping." I swear I felt my jaw tighten so hard it hurt. But I didn't yell. Didn't cry. That's what she wanted. A reaction. Proof she still mattered. I just looked her dead in the eyes and said, "Okay. That's all. No drama. No breakdown." She raised an eyebrow. "Okay?" "Yeah," I nodded. "You want the door open? Fine. But don't be surprised if it closes behind you." She laughed. "Oh, stop being dramatic." She had no idea. Because what she didn't know was that I'd already spent the past week collecting everything: texts, photos, timestamps, even footage from the hidden cam I placed in the living room after she started working late. She thought she was playing chess. But she brought a deck of Uno cards to a gunfight. I walked over to the dresser, opened the bottom drawer, and pulled out a manila folder. Slapped it on the bed beside her like a bomb. "Go ahead," I said. "Open it." She flipped through the pages. Her face shifted from smug to confused to terrified. Screenshots. Hotel receipts. A photo of her with Brent outside a restaurant, his hand way too familiar on her back. A note from my lawyer. She stood up. "Chris, wait. I didn't think you'd actually." "That's the thing, Madison," I cut her off. "You never think. You just take. You wanted freedom? You've got it." She reached out. "It didn't mean anything. Spare me." I stepped back. "You opened the door to other men. You never thought I'd lock it behind you." She tried to speak, but the words stuck in her throat. And in that moment, she realized something. This wasn't a breakup. This was an execution. Because betrayal doesn't get a gentle goodbye. It gets a calculated storm. And mine had just begun. After that night, Madison started spiraling, but she didn't show it immediately. No, she tried to maintain her act, as if I hadn't just burned her fantasy down in front of her. She kept sleeping in our bed, kept sipping her overpriced oat milk lattes like she was still queen of the castle. But I was done playing the loyal fool. While she flirted with chaos, I started building my strategy. I changed the passwords to all our shared accounts: Netflix, banking, insurance, even Spotify. Yeah, it sounds petty, but trust me, when you rip comfort away from someone who's built their life on convenience, it starts to shake them. And I wasn't doing this out of spite, I was reminding her, choices have consequences. Madison tried to brush it all off at first. "So what, Chris? You're mad because I finally chose myself?" "No, Madison. I was mad because I chose you for a decade, and you threw it away for a cheap thrill with some dude who wears bracelets and calls himself a spiritual investor." But the real shift happened 4 days later. I had dinner with my friend Tyler, someone who'd been in my corner since college. After hearing everything, he asked me the question I'd been avoiding. "Do you still want to save the marriage?" I looked down at my drink for a long time before answering. "No. I want her to feel what it's like to be disposable. Tyler didn't even flinch. Just nodded. Then let's make her feel it. And that's when the gears really started turning. I booked a consultation with a divorce attorney first thing the next morning. Her name was Sharon Delgado, and she didn't play around. I laid everything out, the second phone, the infidelity, the documentation, the video footage, all of it. She stared at me, dead serious, and said, "You've got a solid case. And you're going to win." That night, I came home early. Madison was in the shower. I could hear music playing from the Bluetooth speaker she never let me touch. It was one of those moody playlists, the kind that usually meant she was either deep in self-pity or texting Brent under the fog of scented steam. Her phone was on the sink, unlocked. Tempting, right? But I didn't need to look anymore. I already knew the truth. Instead, I walked into the closet, grabbed a suitcase, and started packing her things. Not mine, hers. Every blouse, every pair of designer heels she bought on my dime, every lace bra she'd stopped wearing around me. All folded with precision. All going in the suitcase like they were evidence being removed from a crime scene. When she stepped out of the bathroom and saw me zipping it shut, her jaw dropped. "What the hell are you doing?" I looked her in the eye. "You said you needed to feel desired. Go feel it, somewhere else." She grabbed a towel and clutched it to her chest. "You're kicking me out?" "No, I'm giving you what you begged for. Freedom. Go be with Brent. Or Mike. Or whoever else is in that message thread. I won't stop you. Chris, come on. It was just supposed to be fun." I didn't think. "That's your problem, Madison. You never think past the moment." She tried to cry. Tried to fall into that manipulative, poor me routine I'd seen her use on coworkers, friends, even her sister. But it didn't land. Not this time. Because when you break a man who gave you everything, you don't get tears. You get war. And I was just warming up. She didn't leave that night. Even after I zipped up her suitcase and pointed to the front door, Madison just stood there like a statue, half naked, towel clutched in one hand, her pride in the other. But her pride was slipping fast. "You're not serious," she said, voice cracking. "You're overreacting, Chris. You're not thinking straight." "No, Madison." I was finally thinking clearly. She didn't budge, so I left the suitcase in the hallway, walked back into the bedroom, and locked the door. I didn't sleep much, not because I was heartbroken anymore, but because my mind was spinning with what came next. Morning came. She was still there, curled up on the couch like some broken thing. I ignored her. Walked past, grabbed my keys, and left. But this wasn't just about hurting her anymore. This was about revealing her. I met Tyler at our favorite coffee shop downtown. He had a smirk on his face and a USB drive in his hand. "You sure about this?" he asked. I took it. She made this mess public the moment she started bragging to her friends about taking back her power. See, what Madison didn't realize was that while she was parading her open marriage fantasy to her little book club full of equally bored housewives, Tyler's girlfriend, Emma, was in that same group. And Emma? She liked me a hell of a lot more than she liked Madison. The flash drive contained screenshots, voice notes, even a video where Madison giggled to the camera. "Chris is such a puppy. He'd never leave. I could probably sleep with half the city and he'd still wait up for me." Nice. That evening, I sent a package to her office anonymously. Inside was a printed collection of her texts, that voice note, and a single note that read, "This is who's representing your brand." She worked in PR, reputation meant everything. And just like that. Boom. Fallout. I didn't even have to wait 24 hours. The calls started. First from her boss. Then her friend Lindsay, screaming on voicemail that I was going too far. Then Madison herself, sobbing into the phone. "You've ruined me, Chris. You did that yourself." She stormed into the house 2 hours later. Eyes red, heels in her hand. Hair a mess. How could you do this to me? My job, my career is over. I stood in the doorway with my arms crossed. So is our marriage. But you exposed private messages. Do you know how toxic that is? Didn't seem so toxic when you were recording yourself laughing at me behind my back. And then she snapped. The tears dried up. The real Madison surfaced. You were a boring, passive, weak man. That's why I did what I did. You stopped being exciting years ago. There it was. No apology. No regret. Just venom. I took a step forward, dead calm. That may be true. But even a weak man has a limit. And you just met mine. She slapped me. I didn't flinch. Just looked her dead in the eyes. Get out. She froze. You want to feel desired? Then go see how desired you feel when your reputation's in flames. You stepped out of this marriage the moment you made a joke out of me. I just gave the world a front row seat. She packed the rest of her things that night. Silent. No music. No smug smirks. Just her, walking out the same door she opened to strangers. Except this time, she didn't walk out like a queen. She limped out like a loser. And I didn't just let her go. I held the door open with a smile. The house felt quieter now. Not peaceful, just hollow. Like the echoes of her laughter, her footsteps, her lies were still clinging to the walls. For the first time in weeks, I didn't have to guess where she was or who she was with. She was gone. But what she left behind was poison. That night, I poured myself a drink and sat at the dining table, the same table where we used to host dinners, birthdays, anniversaries. I pulled out my laptop, opened the folder labeled Truth, and started organizing everything I hadn't yet confronted. That's when I noticed something. A file named Lunch Meeting.mov, I didn't remember saving that one. It was footage from my home security camera, the one pointed toward our front door. Timestamp, 2 weeks ago. I clicked play. Madison wasn't alone. It wasn't Brent. It was my best friend, Derek. I leaned closer. Watched as he stepped into my house like it was his. Hugged her. Too long. Too familiar. His hand slid down her back before they disappeared into the living room. No. No way. I scrubbed forward. Madison's laugh. Derek's voice. Her sitting half on his lap, wine glass in hand. His hand on her thigh. I closed the laptop. Suddenly, the betrayal had a whole new face. Not just the woman I married, but the man I trusted most. Derek had been my best friend since we were teenagers. We played on the same football team. He was my best man at the wedding. He was supposed to be family. And now, he was just another snake who smiled in my face while stabbing me in the back. I didn't sleep that night. I couldn't. The next morning, I drove straight to Derek's place. I didn't call. Didn't text. Just showed up and rang the bell until he answered. He opened the door in sweats and looked stunned. "Chris? What's up, man?" I punched him. Hard. Straight in the jaw. He stumbled back, holding his face. "What the F? You know what you did," I growled. Look, man, it wasn't like that. We just talked, she was in a bad place. You talked with your hands on her thighs? You talked sitting in my house like it was yours?" He backed up, palms out. "I swear nothing happened. She tried to kiss me, okay?" I pushed her off. "I didn't tell you because I didn't want to hurt you." That word again. Hurt. Like I was some child who couldn't handle the truth. "You don't protect a friend by covering for his wife's betrayal," I said, breathing heavy. "You do it by being honest. And you failed." He didn't say anything after that. Didn't have to. I turned around, walked back to my car, and drove away. By the time I got home, something inside me had shifted. This wasn't just about Madison anymore. It wasn't even just about Derek. It was about everyone who thought I was too soft. Too passive. That I'd never fight back. They were wrong. I opened a blank document and started typing. It wasn't a journal. It wasn't a letter. It was a blueprint. The blueprint for my revenge, not just petty payback. But something bigger. Something that would leave an impression they couldn't scrub away. Madison wanted to feel desired. She was about to find out what it felt like to be destroyed. And I wasn't even close to finished. 2 days after Derek's betrayal, I was at my lawyer's office again, but this time with a whole new level of clarity. The heartbreak was gone. The hesitation, too. What was left? Precision. I walked in with a list. Not just of what I wanted in the divorce, but of everything she wasn't going to walk away with. I want the house. It's in my name. I want the car. She can have her yoga mat and that damn NutriBullet. I want full access to the joint accounts frozen immediately. And I want every single legal step taken before she even realizes I've filed. Sharon, my attorney, smiled like a war general. Let's break her with facts, not fists. Done. I returned home and began the cleanup. Not of the house, of her presence. Photos came off the walls. Her designer crap packed into boxes. The master bedroom? Mine now. I slept like a king that night, alone, cold, but finally calm. The next morning, though, I got a text. Unknown number. You think you're clever, airing our private life? You're not the victim, Chris. You're just weak. No name, but I knew that arrogance. Madison. That message wasn't from a place of power. It was from panic. Later that day, I got the alert. Her company had placed her on indefinite leave while they conducted an internal review. One of her clients had dropped them after the package I sent. Her boss was furious. Madison's carefully crafted PR persona, the empowered, progressive wife reclaiming herself, was now a scandal magnet. She underestimated how fast a lie can turn into a reputation-wrecking ball. But the next move? That was personal. I sent a message to Brent. Simple. Direct. You should get tested. Good luck. He blocked me within 5 minutes. No denial. No outrage. Just silence. That told me everything I needed to know. The dominoes were falling fast. But I wasn't done. See, Madison still had a key to the house. I'd changed the codes, but I wanted the door fully closed. Symbolically. Physically. So I hosted a moving forward party, not for her, but for me. Invited Tyler, some close friends, even a few mutuals who had quietly reached out to say they were on my side. The mood? Light, but charged. Everyone knew what had happened. Everyone wanted the tea. Midway through the night, she showed up. Of course she did. Dressed like she was headed to a cocktail bar, not the battlefield. She stepped through the door, looked around at the crowd, and said, "Really, Chris? This is what you're doing?" The music stopped. Everyone turned. I took a sip of my drink and smiled. Madison. What a surprise. Did you need directions to Brent's place? A couple people stifled laughs. She glared at me. You're humiliating me. No, I said calmly. You did that yourself when you turned our marriage into an experiment. She walked straight up to me, standing toe-to-toe. You think this makes you strong? Parading our dirty laundry around like some soap opera? I leaned in. No. I think being strong means drawing a line. You crossed it. Repeatedly. And now? You're just dealing with the aftermath. She looked around. Realized no one was rushing to defend her. Not even the mutuals. That was the moment she truly understood, she didn't just lose a husband. She lost her image. Her narrative. Her control. She turned and walked out. This time, no suitcase. No final word. Just a silence that said everything. I shut the door behind her. Then I locked it. Not for safety. For closure. The storm had passed, or at least, I thought it had. Madison was out of the house. Her job was circling the drain. Her little affair with Brent fizzled the moment things stopped being fun and started being messy. I finally had peace, or some version of it. But peace is a tricky thing. It makes you vulnerable. Makes you think it's over. Until it's not. It was a Wednesday morning when I got the email. I just finished a run, poured myself a coffee, and sat down to catch up on bills. That's when I saw the subject line. You deserve to know the truth. L. I opened it. Chris, I'm sorry for doing this over email, but I don't know where we stand anymore. And honestly, I'm scared. There's something I never told you. Madison told me not to. She said it would ruin everything. But you need to hear it now, especially after what you've been through. It was from Lindsay, one of Madison's closest friends. Someone I always thought of as just the wine night friend. Too loud, too much drama. But never malicious. She continued. Last year, before this open marriage thing ever started, Madison, she didn't just cheat once. She was already meeting someone on her work trips. It wasn't Brent. This was before Brent. She told me she'd been hooking up with someone in New York whenever she flew out. She said it was liberating, and that you'd never find out because you trusted her too much. I stopped reading. I just sat there, staring at the screen like it had punched me in the stomach. Not because it hurt, that was long gone. But because this wasn't about betrayal anymore. It was about timeline. She didn't just fall out of love and seek attention. She'd been lying long before she ever floated the open marriage crap. That wasn't a decision. It was a cover-up. A repackaged excuse to justify what she had already done. This whole time, I thought I'd caught the beginning of her downfall. Turns out, I just stumbled into Act 2 of a story that started way before I noticed the curtains move. I closed the laptop, clenched my jaw, and walked outside. The air was crisp, but it didn't cool the fire that had reignited in my chest. She hadn't just disrespected our marriage. She pre-planned its destruction. And now? She thought she'd slink off, bruised ego and all, and rebuild her image like nothing happened? No. Not on my watch. That night, I called Sharon again, my lawyer. I want to add something, I said. Let me guess, she replied. It gets worse. Oh yeah, I muttered. Much worse. I sent her the email. She called me back 15 minutes later, voice sharper than I'd ever heard it. This changes everything. She didn't just violate your trust, she undermined the legal integrity of your marriage while lying about intent. We're going after spousal support. And I want to subpoena her work travel logs. Do it, I said. The gloves were already off. But now, I wasn't just fighting back. I was going for the knockout. And if Madison thought she'd already lost everything, she was about to learn what rock bottom really looked like. The day the papers hit her inbox, Madison was attending a charity gala. I knew that because I timed it that way. She wanted public image. She'd get it. Just not the version she built on Instagram with posed smiles and fake inspirational captions. No, she was about to receive the coldest email of her life while sipping champagne in a rented dress. My lawyer sent it at 8:17 p.m. sharp. Subject: petition for divorce, new evidence submitted. Within that file, a motion to pursue full asset control based on fraud and infidelity, subpoena requests for her travel logs, text data dumps, and screenshots of her private conversations she swore would never see the light of day. And beneath all that, a line that shattered the last illusion she had. Due to deceptive conduct and breach of marital trust, all claims for spousal support are to be voided. Translation: She wasn't getting a single dime. I heard from Lindsay that she left the gala in tears. Not quiet, delicate ones, ugly ones. Screaming into the parking lot, phone clutched in one hand, furious calls to a lawyer who wouldn't even take her case after seeing the files we submitted. See, when your whole identity is built on manipulation and seduction, the one thing you never expect is for your opponent to be smarter than you. And I didn't just outsmart her. I outlasted her. The next morning, she showed up at my house again. Yeah, my house. Still in the same black dress from the gala, mascara streaks on her face like war paint. She didn't knock. Just stood outside like a ghost refusing to move on. I opened the door. She didn't speak. I did. You've got 5 minutes. She looked up, eyes puffy, but still carrying that same fake confidence she'd always used to lie her way through life. You really went too far, she muttered. You could have just walked away. I chuckled bitterly. I did walk away. After you torched 10 years of loyalty and turned it into a circus. You embarrassed me in front of everyone. You embarrassed yourself when you started calling betrayal empowerment. When you turned our marriage into a game, then cried when you lost. Madison's voice cracked. It was supposed to be temporary. Just exploration. You want to explore? Then start with rock bottom. That's where you're standing now. She broke down. Really broke down. For the first time, I didn't see the bitch who smirked her way through my pain. I saw the shell of someone who finally realized she wasn't in control anymore. But I didn't flinch. Because that version of her? That's the one she should have shown me a year ago. And it was way too late. I loved you, she whispered. No, I replied. You loved attention. I was just the guy who clapped the longest. I closed the door slowly. Locked it. And for the first time in months, I exhaled. It was over. Or so I thought. That night, just as I was falling asleep, I got one last message. Blocked number. You think this is the end? You're not the only one with secrets. No name. No reply. But I knew it was her. A last gasp. A desperate bluff. Or, maybe it wasn't a bluff at all. Either way, I wasn't afraid anymore. Because when you've lost everything, you learn the truth. The most dangerous man is the one who has nothing left to lose. The message kept echoing in my mind like a ticking clock. You're not the only one with secrets. I stared at the screen in the dark, the glow of my phone casting shadows on the ceiling. It wasn't fear I felt. It was curiosity. What could Madison possibly have left to play? Her reputation? Destroyed. Her job? Gone. Our marriage? Dead and buried. But then I remembered something, the one thing she always guarded more than anything else. Her image. Madison had lived her whole life constructing walls of illusion. Online, she was a polished, empowered, unshakable, bad bitch. In reality? A selfish, insecure manipulator who couldn't stand being unseen for 5 seconds. If she had anything left, it wasn't truth. It was a story, one she would try to spin before mine could become permanent. I had to end it completely. Publicly. Irrefutably. So I went nuclear. I gathered every piece of evidence, texts, photos, emails, timelines, the footage of Derek, even screenshots of her messages mocking me to her friends. I packaged it into a clean, clinical, devastating blog post titled, "The Truth About My Open Marriage, a Husband's Side of the Story." No drama. No hate. Just cold, brutal facts. I sent it to a mid-sized relationship podcast that Madison once obsessed over. Ironically, she'd even applied to be a guest once, back when she was still pretending to be some modern relationship guru. The host responded in 15 minutes. Holy SHT. This is unreal. Can we read this on air? I gave permission. 2 days later, her story, our story, was viral. They read my post word for word, then spent an hour ripping her to shreds for glamorizing betrayal. Twitter lit up. Reddit was on fire. Even some of her old followers turned on her, calling her a fraud, a narcissist, a master manipulator. She messaged me 4 times that day. "Take it down. This is harassment. You're ruining me. I'll sue." I didn't respond. She wouldn't sue, because she knew everything in that post was true. And she knew what else I had if she tried to take it further. Things that would sink her beyond just a career hit. She went silent after that. Completely silent. No calls. No emails. No drive-bys to the house. It was like the final bell rang, and even she understood, game over. Weeks passed. I started sleeping better. My appetite came back. I even found myself laughing again, not forced, not bitter. Real laughs. Freedom has a funny way of breathing life back into you. One evening, I ran into Lindsay again at the store. She looked at me, surprised, then smiled softly. "You look better," she said. "I am better," I replied. She nodded. "Good. You deserve to be." And for once, I believed it. Madison? She disappeared from the scene entirely. Deleted her socials. Moved in with her sister out of state. Word is, Brent ghosted her. Derek vanished too, probably out of shame or cowardice. But me? I stayed. I rebuilt. Stronger. Wiser. Colder where I needed to be. Warmer where it counted. And if I had to leave anyone with advice? It's this. If someone says they want freedom, let them have it. But make damn sure they know what true freedom costs. Because love isn't a license to destroy someone while you chase a fantasy. And trust? Once it's gone, it doesn't come back. Not in this lifetime.